Hello, everyone. Coach Sandra Lee here, coming at you early. It's really Friday, but I'm hoping and praying this is going to post at the regular scheduled time that I set, which is 11 a.m. Hopefully today, Saturday. I had another appointment that I wanted to go to, and I have a couple of words I'm trying to live by, and that is consistency and being intentional. So consistency means I'm continuing to do this. We have gone through 7 threats of becoming our future self now. Then we went through 7 truths to becoming our best future self now. We are now on step 5, things that we can actually do to become our future self now. This is all based on this fantastic book. Hopefully, you've added it to your library. Can't Be Your Future Self Now by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And I know he's got a newsletter out, and I'm going to share all that good stuff with you later on. But let me go ahead and share with you my screen. Y'all know I'm technically challenged. So before I do that, let me hold on. Hold on. Bear with me here just for a second. I have too many screens open. All right, now we're going to share. I had to close some of these things out. I don't know why that's on step 5. Yeah. Share. Okay. All right. Hope you guys can see my screen. All right, so we're talking about the benefits of automating our lives and having a daily routine. More about having a daily routine. I'm really big on structure to some degree, flexibility to another. So we'll talk about that in great detail. But before we do, I always like to do a recap of what we've covered so far, because we've covered 7 threats and not going to go into great detail with them. I know the video's out here somewhere, so if you want to go back and watch it, you can. I am also uploading some of these videos to my YouTube, which is under the same name, Pathfinder by S. Lee. So, but we've chatted from a very high level of Be Your Future Self Now by the book that I just shared with you on the 7 threats of that will prevent you from becoming the best version of your future self. And that is, without hope in your future, your present meaning will lose meaning. Your present will lose meaning. Then we talked about being unaware of how your surroundings can impact your thinking, your actions, and how you show up in the world. We also talked about you cannot create the life you want if you're not connected to the future you envision for yourself. And then another threat was focusing on the small and the urgent goals can kind of put you on that hamster wheel. So essentially, the small, the important are not urgent, and the urgent things are not important. So learning how to manage the bucket of time that we all get in life, which is 24 hours, and learning how to manage the activities within the hours that we all get, because we can't manage time. Nobody's manufacturing more time. So you've got to learn how to manage those activities within the time frame that you have in life. And so being mindful not only of your time, but of others' time, it's really important. I'm really big on that, because I can't give you back your 5 hours if I've wasted 5 hours of your time. Threat number 6 is getting out into the field or the game of life. If you're not in the arena of life, then you're not growing, you're not evolving. So having the courage to do the things that you want to do, the goals that you want to accomplish, or the dream that God has placed in your heart. And we talked about fear, false events appearing real, and fear of stepping out and doing something that you've never done before is not fatal, right? It's just an uncomfortable vibration that we have in our bodies. So the idea is to be courageous, and being courageous is not necessarily being fearless. It just means you are feeling the fear and you're doing it anyway. And so false events appearing real, that's what fear stands for. And lastly, threat number 7 was you can become successful, and becoming successful will bring opportunities and distractions and destructions. And what happens is sometimes we get so successful that we kind of rest back on our laurels and we don't do the things that got us to where we are. And we can kind of slip and self-sabotage ourselves and end up right back at where we started, at that baseline of comfortability. So those were the threats. Then we went into the truths, and the truths include our future drives our present. And we talked about writing the vision and making it plain. That's the Bible principle. And, you know, you can expect the future to have a definite outcome, because I always say 3, 6, 9, or 1 year is going to go by anyway, whether you do something with your life or not. That year is still going to go by. And so God creates the path to guide us to where we want to go. And truth number 1 is that your future drives your present. What you do today, what you decide to do today with your life in terms of investing in yourself, learning, growing, developing, stepping outside your comfort zone, is going to impact your future. That's just the truth. Your future self is different than you think, because who you are right now, you will be a different person. And who you were 10 years ago, I shared this 10 years ago, 2014, I was in a different job. I was in a different house. I was in a different city. I was in a different marriage. So 10 years ago can make a huge difference. We are different than we were 10 years ago, and our future self will be different than we think 10 years from now, or even 1 year from now. We talked about having a fixed mindset rather than a growth mindset. When we have a fixed mindset, we lack imagination and confidence, and we fear failure. And so we want to have a growth mindset and putting ourselves out there and failing fast and failing often, because when you do, you get the lesson sooner and you become a better version of yourself sooner. Truth number 3, to becoming your future self, you will pay the piper, which is in effect future consequences for our current decisions. So if you invest in yourself now, if you decide to take that course, to take that class, to do the things that you need to do so that you are becoming a better version of yourself, then you'll look back on this time and realize you made the best decision ever, and you'll have no pain of regret. Either way, you're going to pay the piper. Truth number 4 is the more vivid and detailed your future self is, the faster you will progress. So if you can envision where you are, where you want to be, whether your future is 3, 6, 9, or 12 months from now, the point is when your vision is driving your effort, you realize that your transformation is at a point where you cannot turn back. And this is where we talked about burning the ships. Truth number 6, according to Dr. Hardy, is that success can only be accomplished by being true to your desired future self, who you want to be, who you want to become. And as you grow and evolve, the view of your future self will evolve as well, and you will have a choice. You can stay on the old path, or you can get on the new. That's truth number 6. We also talked about automaticity and habit. We're going to talk a little bit about that again today. Deliberate practice is the total of an opposite of habits or automaticity, because when you're deliberate, you're being intentional about the things that you want to do. It takes practice, it takes a conscious effort and attention, and it helps you to drive to where you want to be. It can be uncomfortable and it can be painful, but to fully engage in deliberate practice is to have a very clear picture of yourself, of where you see yourself in the future. Excuse me. Truth number 6 was, above all, success that is achieved means being true to yourself. To thy own self be true. That was a Shakespeare quote. I learned that also going through the 12-step program when I was in the drug rehab for, I think it was really close to 28 days, but I say 30 days because it really was a 30-day program. But to thy own self be true. And then truth number 7 was your view of God will impact your future self. My own personal belief is that when you have a solid spiritual foundation and a relationship with God, your thinking changes, your perspective in the world changes. Romans 12:2 says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. So when we do that, we grow, we learn, and we become a better version of ourselves. Then we moved into the actionable steps to becoming the best version of ourselves. This means taking action and doing the things that you need to do, which is to identify where you are right now and your purpose. Hopefully you've got your journals out and you are journaling and you're writing this stuff down. This is the time where you kind of examine where you are, your values, your perspectives, and seeing things differently from a future perspective. And then we talked about step number 2 of becoming the best version of yourself, is focusing on what you want, your purpose, and eliminating the distractions. And then step 3 was needing, wanting, and knowing was about having the faith, right? Having faith to accomplish whatever it is you set out to do. Last week, step number 4 was asking and asking big. Ask for what you want. I gave you some corresponding scriptures where the Bible says to ask. The Bible talks about the concept of asking more than 35 times in the Bible. But I gave you those scriptures last week. If you don't have those, you can either go back into this site, this group, and the video of asking is there, or you can DM me and I'll be happy to send those scriptures to you. All right, so today we're talking about the benefit of automating our lives to a certain extent, but more about having a daily routine and understanding the concept of systematizing the things that we do on a regular basis. Remember, I just talked about I have a ritual, a process, a list of things that I do first thing in the morning, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But let's dive into what we're going to talk about in totality, and that is I will do an intro. Most of you know who I am, but there are new people in the group, so I want to make sure you know who you're connected to. But we're going to talk about inevitability thinking. And then we're going to talk about SOP, your life. Many of us are familiar with that if you're in a external workforce, if you work for a corporation or any organization, standard operating procedures, SOPs, and how do you apply that to your life? Don't despise small beginnings. I always say you got to start somewhere, so start. And then the benefit of having a daily routine, I'll talk a little bit, and I promise you I'll give you a special offer, and then we'll summarize what we've talked about. And if you've been with me or you've watched any of the videos in here, you know I like to end every session with gratitude and thankfulness. So who am I? I am Sandra Lee. I'm a spiritual life coach. I help mostly women who are feeling unfulfilled, lacking purpose and direction, excuse me, in their lives. Maybe you're an empty nester. Maybe you're still working, but you're still not feeling that engagement, that energy, and feeling fulfilled. You're feeling stuck with trying to identify your purpose. Why am I here? And I can help you with that. This is important to me because at one point I was there. I know what it feels like to be what Zig Ziglar would call a wandering generality, not having a defined goal or path for my life, which is kind of what led me into the whole drug scene. So I want to help you to create a life map so that you too can get to your dream destination, because at this point, I'm not at my ultimate dream destination, but I am at my dream destination. I will just tell you that. And I want to help you tap into your God-given potential and leverage your faith-based principles to overcome life challenges that we find ourselves in, especially when we're midlife. to find peace and live a purposeful and meaningful life aligned with your core beliefs and your values. I truly believe that we rise by lifting others up. So that is my mission, and that is my promise to you. So, inevitability thinking. With motivation, you get willpower, and with willpower, you get the strength to work hard for what you want. So, inevitability thinking is really about having the confidence to know that what you're trying to achieve will happen if you do certain things, right? Over the last week, we've talked about setting our purpose and our goals. And in the book, Dr. Hardy discusses the set it and forget it method of saving and investment. So how many of us are in a 401k and your company matches whatever percentage it matches? And so you've decided you're going to put X number of dollars in, and they take it directly from your paycheck. You never see it. You don't even miss it, right? And all the wonderful things happens with that money when you set it aside, compound interest, which I don't really get, but I understand that it helps you to increase the gains on your money. So I just think that consistency over time, and that's why it works actually, because you're consistently putting that money in, and then the compound interest does its magic. So, and then we talked about automaticity and habit a couple of weeks ago, and I mentioned it in just the refresher a few moments ago, and how when we become skilled in a certain area, it makes us go faster, it makes us more efficient, it makes us more effective. And if you own your business or you work in a business, having those standard operating procedures or systematizing your daily routine or your processes will help you be more efficient and more effective. Dr. Hardy talks about a business strategist by the name of Evan Pagan. Last name spelled Pagan. You could Google him. He coined the act of thinking and acting, creating the conditions for whatever it is you want to happen, and it becomes a foregone conclusion because you created the conditions. And because you've established the conditions to make it happen, that's why it's called inevitability thinking. It's about having the confidence to know that what you're trying to achieve will happen if you do certain things. And once you know what's required to make a thing happen, then you can make it happen. Once you create the conditions and they are met, then you will achieve whatever it is to make that happen. But you first have to be courageous, which I kind of talked about in the refresh. You may not be able to eliminate the fear, right? You just have to feel it and do it anyway. But you can start to shift your mindset and to think differently. What's the worst thing that can happen? I'm going to feel this uncomfortable vibration in my body. That's it. So let go of the doubt and the negativity and the thought that you might fail. Well, you might, but failure is not fatal, and it will be a learning experience. Remember, I said fail fast, fail often. It'll be a learning experience. And then you know what to do. You can set up a better routine or automate wherever you can, but put in the work and don't think about failing. Think about, imagine in your mind and see in your mind and feel with your body what it would feel like to succeed in whatever it is that you're trying to do, whether it's a goal you're trying to accomplish or whether it's a dream you're trying to fulfill that's in your heart. So the standard operating procedures, I mentioned that already, creating those SOPs. These are just simply a step-by-step instruction for those things that happen repeatedly over time, and it ensures consistency in your work life. But you can apply that same concept to your home life or your business or whatever it is that you're doing. And you can automate those. So I mentioned that I've been doing a morning routine for the last, at least, I'm saying 10 years, but it's really been longer than that because I went through the rehab in 1988, and that's when I really started doing a morning program. So from a work standpoint, or if you're running a business, this really is an absolute imperative. And you can apply, again, this principle to your routine and consistency of how you run your mornings every morning. And so the whole purpose is just to carry out those activities correctly in the same manner, and it sets up really good habits. And while you're setting up good habits, don't forget to dream, right? Big dreams have small beginnings. Don't be afraid to start small. The Bible says to not despise the day of small beginnings. Essentially, embrace the smallness, right? And then take action, because you can think small and you can dream small, or you can dream big and you can think big, but faith without action or faith without works is dead. So you simply have to start, and then, set it up, have faith, and then it's going to happen for you. Starting small allows you to learn, it allows you to adapt and adjust without overwhelming yourself. And if you make a mistake, it's no big deal, right? And if you're starting small, that means you don't need a whole lot of resources. It really will minimize the risk of failure. Of course, you're going to learn some things that maybe you could have done differently, and that's really what it's all about. But whether you're starting a job, whether you're starting a business, or any endeavor for your future self or your future dreams, starting small or taking that first step will allow you to build and boost your confidence. It'll give you the motivation that you need to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And it will also give you a sense of accomplishment and encourage you to take on even more significant challenges. And so it will also allow you to be flexible. And then when you start small, just start, you can quickly pivot if you need to. And you can test your ideas and your concept. And then there might be reasons of why you need to pivot or change. Because you started small, it'll be easier to do that. So whatever your goal is, whatever your dream is, the point is just start, because whatever action you take now will impact your future self 3, 6, 9, or 12 months from now. Remember, I said 3, 6, 9, or 12 months from now, it's going to go by anyway. And you got to ask yourself, if I don't do anything, am I going to be okay with being in the same place that I am right now? So you've got to take some action if you want things to be different. If you have dreams, if you have big dreams, then you got to take those tiny steps towards making your dream happen. All right, so let's talk about Jim Rohn, who is one of my favorite teachers. He's one of my favorite mentors. I would have loved to have met him. He's no longer with us, but this quote is one of my favorites, and it's one that he talked about: either run the day or the day runs you. And remember, I said time is a great equalizer because we all get the same 24 hours in the day. But finding a plan for your daily routine and habits can help get your day off to a less hectic start. I start my day every morning with prayer, meditation, journaling. And for those of you who are friends with me on my personal page, you see my daily inspirational posts. I am very intentional when it comes to my morning routine. And intentional is my word for the year. But I do that because I now have developed the habit, and I do it for me as much as I do it for other people, because I'm reading the Bible anyway. And so, as you guys know, if I'm reading something or I'm doing something, I want to just bring you along with me. But being intentional about how you spend your time can be eye-opening for you. Even whether you're at work or whether you're at home or whether you're running your business or whether you're at your organization. Have you ever been home or even at work and you say to yourself, where did the day go? And you can't really pinpoint where the time has gone. Well, for me, I try to put everything on my calendar. So if you own a business or you work in an organization, not only scheduling out your time and allocating your time how you want to run the day, but having a great team of people around you or support is really important, and that will help you with your productivity. And there are also some tools. I know I have friends who use different tools like Trello and Asana. I've never used those. I simply just put everything on my calendar that works for me, but find that what works for you. And then if you're running the business and you're trying to set your goals or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Block out the distractions. Remember, we talked a couple of weeks ago about those shiny objects, squirrel. It's like, it doesn't take much to take you off your game. And it's harder if you work in an office or if you're a manager. I'm just going to say this as a side note. If you're a manager, it is so uncool to shut your door if you have people reporting to you. I'm just saying, unless you communicate to say, hey, folks, I'm working on something that's really time sensitive. My door's going to be closed for an hour, or whatever time frame you set aside. But that needs to be communicated. So that was just kind of a pet peeve of mine. Schedule the meeting when you have to. I block off time on my calendar, or I schedule a meeting with me if I have to. I block off time on my calendar so I can get things done on my to-do list. Because if you don't do this, as soon as you get in, people will follow you into your office or your phone will ring. Then you've lost control of your day. And it goes back to what Jim Rohn said, either run the day or the day runs you. I also think it's important to talk about time again. So again, we all get 24 hours in a day. And if you work on a job, again, if you own a business, you are allotted at least a third of your day to work, right? Whatever your work is. And sometimes you can get invited to meetings that either number one, they don't start or end on time. Number two, has nothing to do with you, nor can you even add value to it. So it's best to kind of like back out of those if you can, or send a delegate. And as I've gotten older, I realize that my time is such a commodity. And again, no one is manufacturing more of it. So if you have those meetings that pop up on your calendar to go to, get the information on what is the meeting about and why do you need to be there. And ditto for when you're scheduling meetings for somebody else, right? On the opposite end, what is the purpose of the meeting or the phone call? What is it you want people to walk away with after the meeting? And what do you need to get out of that phone call if it's a phone call? Otherwise, perhaps maybe an IM or an email would suffice. And lastly, I'm going to say people rest, get rest. Everybody who knows Rob and I, we're usually in bed by 8:30, and I'm probably knocked out sleep by 9:30. So know that you typically need to rest. When you get rest, you're going to be a lot more better at what you do when you have taken better care of yourself. All right, so benefits of having that routine: you're going to be efficient, you're going to be more productive, consistency is key, you're going to reduce the stress mentally and physically, leads to better health, improved sleep, and a good management. I don't like the term management of your time because I really just don't think you can manage time, but you can manage the activities in your time and accomplish your goals. So efficiency is about having that routine or that structure to your day that helps you to be able to manage your task more efficiently, and it reduces decision fatigue, and you're not wasting time trying to figure out what you need to do next. Productivity: be more productive. With a routine, you can prioritize what's important and do it by deadline. This helps you stay on track and accomplish more in less time. Consistency: when you have regular routines set up, or you establish those good habits that I talked about, whether it's exercise and studying or working consistently, it builds discipline and it does improve performance over time. And then I mentioned reduce stress. Who couldn't use less stress? Knowing what to expect reduces anxiety and stress, and you're less likely to feel overwhelmed. And it lays out just a clear plan for your day. I mentioned better health. This includes having time for exercise. Figure out what time of the day works for you. If I exercise, it's going to be early in the morning. I'm talking 3:30, 4 o'clock. Number one, I don't like to go to a crowded gym. And number two, I like to get in and get out. But it ensures that when you have a good health, it ensures that you are prioritizing those activities that will contribute to your overall health. And I mentioned sleep. Get sleep, people. Sleep is good for you. Going to bed and waking up at the same time each day will regulate your body's internal clock. I have not used an external alarm clock probably in years. I cannot even tell you the last time I've ever used an alarm clock. And I remember I used to have a Big Ben blue clock that would go off, and Having alarm clocks that go off and loud, that jumps you out of bed is not good for you. Put it on something soft and soothing to wake you up. You want to wake up gently. You don't want to be jolted out of bed. So, but if you have to use alarm clock, but if you go to bed same time each day and wake up the same time each morning, then your internal alarm clock will start to build. And then I mentioned managing of time, but really it's allocating time for the various activities in your life, including those things that are important versus urgent, right? Important is family. And then the urgent are those things that might pop up at work that is like demanding of your time, but can really wait. And then lastly, goal achievement. Following a daily routine can help support your long-term goals by breaking them down into manageable activities, and consistency over time will lead to better progress and achievement. All right, here's my special offer today. Again, a 1 hour clarity call. If you're not really sure, like your purpose or what you're here to do, I can help you. And I also have a gift that I can send to you. It's called the Speedy Priority Finder. I went over this last week, but if you'd like to get a copy of it, just email me at pathfinder@outlook.com. Hold on for a second. What have I got here? Just got a message. Pathfinder@outlook.com. All right. So I talked about consistency over time. It saves you time. Consider inevitability thinking. It's really about having the confidence to know what you're trying to achieve, and it will happen if you do certain things. Be intentional. Incorporate the concept of having those standard procedures in your life or some system that will keep you on track. And then time is just that great equalizer. We all get the same number of days. Well, we do get the same number of days, but we all get the same number of hours in a day. And don't despise the small beginnings. The bottom line here is just to start. Just start, whatever it is. And if you need help, I'm here to help you. All right, so you guys all know that at the end of my sessions, I like practicing gratefulness or in this case, thankfulness, which is really the same thing. There's always something to be thankful for. Research in psychology has shown that practicing gratitude can greatly enhance our overall happiness. And it's true. Expressing gratitude, we are able to experience more positive emotions. We can savor the good moments in life. It improves our overall well-being. It helps us to cope with life challenges, and we have a lot of those these days. And what's really important is that it helps us to cultivate these meaningful relationships. It's the act of appreciating what we have, whether it's physical possessions or those intangible blessings like our health and our life and our family and our friends. And having gratitude and practicing thankfulness, it allows us to acknowledge the goodness in our lives and recognize that it often comes from sources outside of ourselves. This shift in perspective allows us to see beyond our own individual needs, and it helps us to connect with something greater, whether it's with other people, whether it's with nature, whether it's with God. So start incorporating gratitude into your daily life and you'll reap the countless benefits. Rob and I, we have a gratitude clock that goes off every night at 9 o'clock without fail. And we're not just saying what, we're grateful for our life and our health and our family and our friends. We do that every morning. What we're practicing thankfulness for is for the specific things that happen during the course of the day, right? Because we don't get to save up our days. Once a day has gone by, it's gone by and it's over with. So practice thankfulness in your life, and you will see a huge change. Lastly, I want to say that you can visit futureself.com. You can get on Dr. Hardy's email. I think that he sends out an email. He doesn't spam you or anything like that. Next week, we'll talk about schedule your future self. Your identity drives behavior. Who you think you are informs what you do. Who you think you are informs what you do. I love that one so much. Our last step on becoming our future self will be in 2 weeks. It's step 7. Dr. Hardy talks about aggressively completing imperfect work. This will be fun and enlightening topic because many of us are frozen by perfection. And I believe we should strive for excellence because done is better than perfection. Trying to get something done perfect, which does not exist, means you'll never do it. So that will be on Saturday, May 18th. And then again, if you haven't added to your library Dr. Hardy's book, I want to encourage you to do that. The next book that we'll be talking from is from my coach, Dr. Eric Thomas, UOU. This will probably take us into the fall, but it is so good. So if you haven't gotten it yet, I'm going to encourage you to do that. And yeah, all right. So I am not here live, but I'm going to try and jump on Sunday, maybe after church, maybe do a Q&A, or if you guys want to experience what it's like to be coached, I would love to do that because I love doing that. So feel free to DM me if you have questions. And again, you can email me if you want to schedule that free clarity call, or if you want that handout on your priorities, outlining your priorities 1, 2, and 3. And my email address is pathfinderbyesli@outlook.com. And I think that's going to end our session for today. I'm glad I had a chance to do this. I am at an appointment in Columbus. I will be back. I'm looking at my calendar, maybe 11th. That's right before Mother's Day. So yes, I will be live on Saturday, May 11th. So hopefully you can join me then. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. I hope that you have a fantastic Saturday. See ya. Bye.